Meantime, Home Depot's Q3 earnings missing.
You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals, funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today, your edge when investing.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Sorry, I had to mute the button behind me there. How is everybody doing today? Hope you're having a great start to your day. BigBeat, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I mean, look, when you're the good old words of Warren Buffett, when your pants are falling off your pants and Cloudflare is showing what the world happens to you when it goes down. Amazon, all those companies are the tide's out, pants are off. So there it is, man. It tells you Twitter's having problems today. Amazon, AWS is down. Look at the whole world's falling apart right now.
Yeah, I've been dealing with it all morning, trying to get out my signal, my watch list to the Prosper folks. We can't get it out. Our email system, they're down. As you said, we're not being seen on Twitter right now because that is not connecting, even though Twitter seems to be coming back up. So just sort of just add to it, right? Everything seems to add up to itself. Market's still moving to the downside here. Tick is slightly positive, but the Qs are slated to open up down another 0.5 percentage point after dropping 85 basis points yesterday. SPY down another 0.5 point today after being down a full point yesterday also pretty much. BigBeat, you've been calling for this for weeks and months rather. Dan Niles said it, that Thanksgiving was going to be rough. It looks like it is the case.
Yeah. I mean, I took a lot of beating for it, right? I mean, people were making fun of me, and saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, that was a very small number of people, but I've been doing this a long time, Howard. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's not rocket surgery, as my friend would say, Jim Morris would say. But here's the thing. Most people don't see it before it happens, right? They don't have that clear vision of the markets. And when you lay all the thesis, in our case, thesis out of what's going to happen, here it is, right? And I've laid out all the reasons why this is going to happen. But I'm the opposite side right now. as I tell people, the path of least resistance is now no longer the downside. Maybe a little bit more, maybe, but now it's to the upside. The short squeeze is going to come on. Look, I get it. I've been how long have I been talking about job losses? How long have I been talking about AI bubble? Before we talked about AI bubble before it was even hitting the news. Now it's all over the news. Oh, an AI bubble, AI bubble. We try to tell you, no, you didn't. I mean, I was there. I'm around the news. I know the people. They weren't. They didn't know, right? And now it's here. But what am I saying? I'm saying that when you create that thesis that set the stage for this, you have to think about the future. What is the next level of all of this, right? Are people still going to be in trouble come Christmas? And look, we've talked about it. Why am I at length talking about housing market? Guess what? Today they're talking about the housing market, right? They're missing the bigger picture. And that's what Quasar Markets is about the bigger picture. How to set these up so that you're not getting run over by what the news is, funneling out the noise and giving you a clearer picture about what's happening in the real markets. I'm sorry, but I'll give the Fed every copy of Quasar Markets. I'll give them a year. I'll give them 2 years. As long as I remember, I'll give them a copy of it so they'll understand it. They don't have enough news. They don't have enough data. I'll give it to them. This is what I'm trying to say. Look, but here's the flip side of this, Howard. I think capitulation's happening, and I think it's happening right in front of our eyes, and people are taking off. But the people that are, long-term investors, they're not getting out. They're not saying, okay, I'm scared now. Oh, God, what am I going to do? They're staying in. So guess what? There's going to be a massive short squeeze, and I'm getting ready for it, and I'm buying now. So and this morning I posted of why I'm making a big, huge purchase on Bitcoin. Michael Saylor did that over the weekend. I think capitulation has happened. So that's my thought process here. And later in the show, I'll do a quick technical analysis on Bitcoin as well.
We can get right into it now, Steve, if you like. I left the screen open for you here. As Steve mentioned, Bitcoin breaks below 90K. And is it the tail wagging the dog? In other words, we're hearing that this is just the canary, the canary in the coal mine, and this has been showing us that there's no liquidity and that tech is still going to continue to follow off. I know you don't feel that way. We do see that we've come down. We're not.
And why is that, Howard? Because there's money in the sideline. We've been talking about that. There is a lot of cash on the sideline. They can't wait to get back in. They just don't know when to get back in, and they're scared, and they're pearl clutching their charts, and they're trying to look for any news and Twitter's down. So, oops, there's no Twitter for them to teach them how this market works, right? So you're right, Howard. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, and yesterday, if you want to go ahead and put up your chart, and yesterday, we did see spot capitulation yesterday for the first time on this dip. That usually is a bellwether that the bottom, it might not be all the way in, but it's headed that way. So I'll give you the screen and let you go, my man.
Yeah, look, very simple. We have been talking about, and of course, I was at a CNBC event and I had a long chat with Dan Niles about, he said Thanksgiving's going to suck, and he's been right. I agreed with him that that is pure de-risking, right? People were taking things off. I have said it clearly that this is what's going to happen. A pullback is ready, be prepared, have cash, have powder in the sidelines, right? And so we've seen that. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin. And I'm going to go back to the April sell-off. And I did this earlier on my own LinkedIn. I drew this big O line. Guess what? We're right there. I have both CCI, I've got RSI, and I've got MACD on here. I've also got, if you look at the bottom of this screen, I'll make it bigger for everybody to see it. Look at the selling. There's not been much bidding going on. It's all in the ask, and there's not much bidding, and that's what's happening. This isn't complete liquidity sell-off, right? This is a sell-off of de-risking, and I think Howard's got that for you right there on the thing. It is de-risking. It is taking a little bit of a break. We need this to happen in order for it to go up. Now I'm going to pull up a 3-hour chart. That's what Wall Street uses. All right, look at the bounce. We saw it last night. Look at the selling. Powerful selling over the last few days. All right. And look at the volume of selling. We saw that volume back in early part of November. We saw that in early part of October. See that big spike. We're seeing the spikes again. And then I'm going to go back to the big spikes. There it is again. See the spikes, see the spikes, see the spikes. So we know that once this spike of volume slows down, then we start to see the push back up. I'm going to pull it back to everybody can see this. I'm going to pull up a weekly chart. And this is what's happened. Look at that once again. 1, 2, 3. So I think you're starting to see that on the weekly chart is beginning to turn a bit. On the daily chart, we're not quite the turn yet, but we're almost there. I'm telling you, CCI is tightening up down there. So that tightening up tells me that we're going to see some buying. See that tightening up? We saw some buying. Tightening up, buyers. So I think we're going to see a short squeeze. It's going to get back up to 96 to 100 probably pretty quickly, and then probably back to 108,000. For me, the monthly chart too, you make it even easier for you if you want a clearer picture of what we're seeing. There it is again. I'll tell you right now, the path of least resistance is definitely not the downside. So if you think that there's more selling to happen and we're going to go to 85,000, you were wrong. I know there are a lot of people that are betting on 85,000 and saying that's where it's at. We're not. So for those of you who are concerned, and I'll leave it. I'll turn it over to Howard here because Howard is Mr. Crypto. Howard, this is where I think capitulation is from a technical analysis side. You are on mute if you are.
Sorry about that. I coughed earlier. Wasn't sure if I was going to get caught. So, yeah, on the spot market, like I said, for the first time, we saw capitulation yesterday. Large inflows into the exchanges. We had been seeing outflows. That is usually the first sign that that boat, as Mr. Flanagan says, is turning in the lake. These are the waves you look for. There could be some more downside today and tomorrow. I think we start to kick off with NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday. And as Joe Clayman said on CNBC, that I agree, is, the debasement trade is the trade that Bitcoin goes best with. So if the Fed does cut on the 10th, like many are now starting to expect, as Steve has been saying for weeks, that will be another thing that leads us towards, recovery. So it's always darkest before the light, we always say, right? And this really is that. And this is also telling us, right? VIX elevated here today, Steve, sitting at about 2378. So again, we tell you to buy VIX protection when you don't need it. It is meant to be working that way. To me, definitely about the time that you start to sell out of there for sure. I already got out of mine a little earlier, as we know, last week. Looking to reload. If it does pull back down, we'll see from there. Steve, AI tech bubble, that's all we hear. Is NVIDIA the pivot we need to see tomorrow?
Well, I think with NVIDIA, you've seen some major investors already getting out. We've already talked about that. We talked about it the last couple of days. Peter Thiel already out of NVIDIA. I agreed with that, right? I said it on Schwab 2 weeks ago. I said, look, I'm not bringing you roses. I think that's what I told Nicole, right? I'm not bringing you roses. The sell-off's coming. And she asked me about NVIDIA, and I said, look, let's be honest. I can't. I don't see NVIDIA going higher. This is, I don't want to buy this at this price, right? And yeah, we're right. So NVIDIA price over the last, that's
November 3rd, so the last 14 days.
$220, and now you're sitting at 184, right? So my goodness, that's a $60 move. If you're looking at buying, I do like NVIDIA here because I do still think the company is looking good. But I don't think that it's a buy yet. It needs a few more days. I do think, and you talk about it all the time here, and it's important everybody understands this, that crypto as a risk on asset is usually the first one to move, right? So if we start to see that Bitcoin pushes back up, get ready, because I think you're going to see all of these tech stocks go right back up. And to get us out of these messes, it is tech stocks, right? It is tech stocks that says, okay, you know what? Look, we are working on a new program. We're working on a new hardware piece. We're working on a new whatever it is. Well, here we are. So I think that's what we need to see. I need to see, but the Blackwell chipsets, awesome stuff, right? the new GPUs, awesome stuff. So yeah, no, I'm not too concerned about it. I like all this, Howard. This is making me very happy. I want to be the ticker taker, right? That's what I said. Yeah. So here we go. Flanagan says he'll be over by Tuesday. So here it is. Steve Flanagan. That's right. He did say that.
Yeah, and he'll be on tomorrow to defend that position. So
Yeah.
Miss Ida, you can talk with him tomorrow if that is not the case. And again, I don't think we try not to get that specific versus a day. I think he was more laying to the beginning of the week would be the final sell off, and then towards the end of the week you'll start to see the buyers step in. So I would look at it more that way than at 4:00 on Tuesday, we will do this as to more.
Right. We don't like timing the markets. We do not time the markets here.
Yeah, it's more of a weather report than a agenda. So, but Mr. Flanagan will have to speak to that tomorrow more. But that is the case of what we are looking at so far. And I do think NVIDIA is going to need to be the bellwether there. If we do see bad earnings from NVIDIA tomorrow, man, watch out below, because there's an implied volatility on the option market that says we're looking for about a 6.5% move up or down on that print. So, pretty big outsized move there, Steve, right?
I don't know what's going on, Howard. Maybe it's Cloudflare, but I just feel like you and I are starting to agree on everything now, man. I call it Cloudflare Day. That's going to be Cloudflare Day.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be Cloudflare Day. It is. I mean, everything is down right now for those that don't know, or I feel bad for those that only watch us on Twitter and can't get in. We don't get nearly the viewers on YouTube that we do on the other channel on X. That's where most of the followers are. But hey, what can you do? So just to talk about tomorrow's NVIDIA's earnings. The street is expecting $54.8 billion in revenue, $1.25 in EPS, and that they keep their guidance of $62 billion in revenue for next quarter. We do see that Cantor, Jefferies, D.A. Davidson are all still very bullish, expecting beats and raises and multi-year visibility. The big focus is now to 2027 plus AI demand, not just 2026, right, Steve? And the concerns are, is CapEx sustainable? Are hyperscalers and sovereigns over leveraging their GPUs?
Yeah. I mean, this is getting good and good. It's getting better and better. I love it, Howard. I mean, maybe we should shut the world down a couple of times and understand. Look, you're absolutely right. Look, we need to see that this is still the past. I don't care what. Okay, they missed, they beat, whatever they did. I need to see guidance. We already know what the issue is, right? We already know that they're betting big on AI. They're spending huge amounts on AI because I think it's going to pay off. I really do. AI, you do not have every company in technology betting big money, spending every dollar they have on AI, and it's not going to be the future. They can't all be wrong, right? Every company can't be wrong. So we know
and that's a great point that I saw brought up. I'm not even sure where I saw it over the last couple of days. One of the news, talking heads was pointing out that the difference, and Steve, you could probably talk a little to this, the difference between the .com bubble and today is .com people stopped spending money pretty quickly.
They did. They stopped spending money.
And here we're not seeing that. People are still putting their money. Now, with that, I will mention something, because Amazon, we know, just printed a $15 billion 6-part bond deal, upsized from the $12 billion they were looking at, with 40-year paper around 5.6 yield, following a huge AI-linked bond deal with Oracle, Meta, and Alphabet. Credit spreads on these longer-dated tech bonds, though, have widened, Steve, reflecting investors demanding more compensation for AI risk and growing leverage. Well, will money start to get too expensive for them?
That's a great question. That question has to be asked whether or not what rates they were getting, obviously, and what
5.6% yield on 40-year paper.
That's long-term paper. And that's a lot of rates. So the banks are hurting financially. Then that means that the banks are running out of cash themselves. Then, because they're having to raise rates. on that. And
right,
not,
and these big sovereign funds and everything else are realizing that maybe it's a buyer's market out there. So
maybe.
that's the question, because the next place I'm going to go, is, you probably can imagine, is Blue Owl, right? Blue Owl, which is a big private credit lender to AI data centers, was down 6% Monday, down again today in the pre-market.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Those down about another 73 basis points. I just wanted to get there. Down for the third straight day. And again, they're down at 52-week lows. It recently merged a private and public fund. Private investors face large losses and can't redeem until next year. What do you think? Would you be shorting the stock right now, Steve?
Shorting it now might be a little bit
late to the party.
Late to the party, yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. They're still big, they're still gonna get the money, and we know that rates are gonna come down, so there'll be a place where they'll probably get money from. So no, I don't think so. I think they're okay. It's just going through a little bit of a credit crunch right now. If this expands, then yeah, it's a problem. I am seeing Cloudflare down even more now. OpenAI is even worse right now, as well as AWS, X, Uber.
Yeah, I'm flying basically blind. I will say, hey, shouts out to one of our partners at Quasar Markets. Trading View is about the only thing that's not giving me any trouble so far today. So to the boys over there that work with you at and us at Quasar, and we partner with them a lot on things, and you and I have long been purchases of their products.
Yeah.
They're up and going, and I haven't had one data feed from them go down. All my connections to the exchanges, to everything up and playing. So just want to give a shout out to Trading View. Steve, as we look at it, let's look at the charts. Tick down about 100. The Qs pretty flat here this morning. SPY, same thing. We've been pretty flat. I think today is one of those days where we're just going to see it's hurry up and wait for Nvidia's earnings maybe, but we still have a few others we got to hit on here, Steve, before the open. We're about 8 minutes away. Yeah. Home Depot, one that you always talk about as definitely a channel check, down about 4.5% this morning.
Well, we saw that yesterday. I mentioned that on the show, how lumber prices are so low, and that was to me a telling sign that that there's a problem in the housing market of fixing up your home. Usually you get that first. We saw that with copper. We saw that with what a lot of our people here were saying. I'm going to tell you, I am very concerned about the housing market. I think it's worse than everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, I've been saying it's terrible. So, and I know that I'm sure that Miss Spector's about to speak up because she's been railing on how bad it is also.
Yeah. But I think it's even worse.
Getting back to Home Depot, Steve, I'll also point out with Home Depot, though, is there maybe a problem at the top here? Because they missed EPS for the third straight quarter. So I'm starting to wonder if this is a Home Depot problem, maybe even a little bit more than a market problem there. They cut their full year EPS outlook to less than 5% year over year, and trimmed competitive outlook to slightly positive versus 1% growth prior. They blamed a deferral mindset among homeowners, weak housing turnover, higher mortgage and loan rates, as you just talked about, and a lack of storms, which I guess is good for us, bad for them, and bad for the investor.
Good for me.
Yeah, I mean, that one I don't feel bad about that one, but this is a good barometer for the big ticket discretionary, spender, right?
The problem that I see at Home Depot is now they have Amazon is really getting bigger and bigger when it comes into home goods and things of that nature. You saw that with the actual company Home Goods. You saw that with the actual At Home, a few other places like Target that aren't selling home products that goes into the house. The people that have a home, that wanted a home back during COVID, they've got one now, and they got it at a much, very low rate, and they got a pretty good price on it. Here we are 5 years later. The problem I'm seeing now is foreclosures. The foreclosure number is really high right now. And if you got foreclosures, you're not putting new pillows on your bed, right? If you've got a foreclosure,
or putting a new deck on the back or whatever. Right. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, that's definitely the issue, and it leads into the next one, which well, again, I guess this one good for those that are investing in Klarna, CLAR, recent IPO and buy now, pay later type event. And they actually had earnings beat and an EPS move to the upside. They hit Q3 revenues of 903 million versus 882, so 26% year over year. So again, this to me not a good sign, because these are the folks that are buy now, pay later.
And now it's buy now and never pay.
Yeah, I mean, it just, that, I think those that's why I led with those two. Is, to me, that's the story of the economy. Home Depot,
exactly, which is why
misses and down, and Klarna, while their stock is moving down like everything else today, had an EPS beat, earnings beat, and raised guidance. That sort of tells you where the economy, the K-shaped economy. And good morning there, Zora. I just saw you jumped in there. So that one's not looking too good. We're about 4 minutes from the open here. Steve, another one here, Panera, that we got to bring on there. Are you a Panera fan? We never talk about this.
No,
one.
I don't like it at all. I mean, my wife.
You don't like it at all.
I don't like Panera. I don't like Panera bread.
You're not a broccoli cheddar soup fan. My wife, big fan of the broccoli cheddar soup.
I do like that, but I don't. Panera bread food is just not quite the level that I like, and I don't like the way that you buy. I don't, the way you walk in, you got to punch the buttons in on the screen, and it's an individual screen, and it's overwhelmed. Nah, it's not worth my time. It's overpriced, and the food is not up to the quality. So nope.
Well, so what I'm going to point out, though, is unlike some other folks in that industry, they realize there's a problem. What they did do is they announced that they have a turnaround program. They openly admitted that they squeezed food and labor too hard. Smaller sandwiches, cheaper ingredients, iceberg versus romaine. Got guests chasing whole cherry tomatoes and cutting their own avocado. So, it's interesting to see that is a change that they're making. They're going to upgrade their ingredients, undo portion cuts. They're reinvesting in labor and updating kiosks. Like you said, you hate hitting the screen. You want to talk to somebody. So my bigger takeaway here was a company unlike Chipotle, which has just heard this complaint, not pivoted at all, and continuing to just get drilled at quarter after quarter. At least Panera looking to the upside and looking above us. We are about 3 minutes from open. Steve, is there anything in particular you're looking at here this morning?
I'm telling you, I kind of want to buy the market up today. When you see all the screaming and the gnashing of teeth and crying, this is what I like to buy.
What sectors are you thinking maybe to look at?
I mean, look at Bitcoin, 91,800 right now. Right? I mean, we said this was a buying opportunity. I like Disney and I like RCL. If the world's so bad, Disney should be really getting beat up, but you know what? It's not. So I think that this is a very good time. And actually, right, buyer's market and housing, but nobody is buying. That's right. Yeah. This is when I and look, let's be real honest. Cash is king right now, and a lot of people raise a lot of cash, and cash is king. So I like this time. This is when people should start buying and not selling. I mean, look, I have been calling for this market sell-off. I've got my sell-off. I'm happy. I called. Now, look, the Bitcoin sell-off was bigger than I thought was going to happen. But okay, and that's just because of the oversized selling that happens with idiots out there with 200 and 300x, and they're about to get their behinds kicked to the curb here. But let's be real deep down. Let's pull a little bit a chunk out here. If the world is really falling apart, then oil should be way, way lower. And we're still under $60, but it is holding up out here. And we do have a glut of oil on the market. So we're not seeing this sell off to $40, the nonsense that happened back, during 2007 and 8. And then again, of course, and during COVID. So we're not seeing that. Excuse me. So look, I'm okay with this market. I think we got our sell-off.
Okay, you hear it here from BigBeat. He called when the top was coming. Now he's saying it's time to start to reload. Are you starting in tech? Are you sector rotating sectors? What are you looking at for or are you just individual stocks based on bad news on maybe not Home Depot, but something else?
We're open. We're open right now. We'll see. There it is. RCL at 2.63 right now. It should be down if the world's falling apart, right? Look at that. Apple's up $3 right now. So yeah, I'm liking this. I think the capitulation happened. I think if you want to buy, I think you should go start buying.
There you go. You hear it from BigBeat here. We are open. First move is slightly to the upside on the Qs. We are up 56 basis points. The S&P up 47 basis points. The Dow down a full percentage point here, and now challenging. Yesterday I said it might go below 47, now threatening to go below 46K here this morning. So first move is some capitulation, but as we know, the first move is usually the wrong move in the market. Gold at 40.73. That's the other barometer for me, Steve. That seems to me like we'd be back at 4,500 if the world really wasn't ending also.
And it's not.
So I'll point that out. And then lastly, I will point out that we'll find out a lot this week. Bond traders will, see this week's data, jobs, trade, ADP, Fed minutes as a make or break for confirming more cuts or higher for longer.
They're going to cut. I mean, they're silly. If they don't cut, there's something wrong with this Fed. They've got to cut. They don't have a choice, man. The world is not. They got to cut.
Listen, I've been on that boat for a while. Mr. Flanagan's been on the boat. Everybody there, we all agree.
We're seeing a drop here in the market.
First move to the upside is to the upside on Bitcoin and Ethereum here. I did buy a little Ethereum under 3,000 last night. So again, I'm buying these dips here and there on it, DCAing in. I do also believe we saw some spot capitulation. Doesn't mean we won't dip down a little bit lower here today or tomorrow. But I think it is beginning of where you start to put your foot into the pool and go swimming.
Yeah, I think anybody selling now, that's just silliness. I mean, this selling was overwrought, and I think we go higher. I really do. I think it's it.
Man. We're right about the 30% pullback we hit with that drop last night. 88K is the 30% pullback. We got almost down to that level. That's what I said a bear market would be. We won't see 70% pull downs anymore because of the structure.
Right.
And this is where, and we saw the capitulation. Now look at that.
92,000 back on Bitcoin. So here we go. And look at the run on the Qs. There's a run, big buying stepping in the Qs. Look at that. Look at that run. They swiped them all out, the liquidity out there. If you were short, you got wiped out. Are we out of a 1929 scenario? No, we're not.
See, that's where you and I are going to differ there. In 1929, we didn't have anything that we have in place today, and that's where we're different.
We don't have
we didn't have any access to news. We didn't, there wasn't the Dodd-Frank Act, and there wasn't all of these things that weren't there.
I understand that, but we're not out of this. We're not out of the.
Could we? Is the economy effed? Yes, but the difference is that it's a different set. In 29 was different. Can it be 2008? Yes. Can it be 1999? Yes. But
I don't think that's what she's asking. I think they're asking is whether or not it could a massive.
Well, I just want to separate because the Great Depression was the Great Depression.
Okay. Look, I think there's a good. We're in a recession. Right? If anybody thinks we're not in a recession,
you're right. We are in a recession. I've been saying that already. So that again, you're there. I just want to make sure. See, now that everything's back to normal, we're going to argue about stuff.
Good. I was being to worry here, Howard.
Yeah, but no, and that that's the difference. Is this there? Is there problems? There are problems. Without a doubt, it isn't going to get better in a minute. We need things. The question's going to be, is the AI bubble been bought down enough to where it's no longer a bubble? Is the Bitcoin bubble?
When you ask the question about 1929, you have to ask the question about the political side of things too, right? I mean, you had Calvin Coolidge, who was a hands-off, probably asleep the whole time at the wheel. Kind of reminds you of a guy named Biden. And you've got a Wall Street guy kind of reminds you of Trump, who was a little bit aloof on things and was just trying to do everything, and it all fell apart, right? So, yeah, there is some. This is what I'm saying. Read the book. I think a lot of people will start to see a lot of. I mean, look at the market here now. This thing is just all out of whack. People are just concerned. They don't know what to do. There's a lot of cash on the sidelines. Sellers are still in there, but I don't know what. And this is nutty.
Well, it's high frequency. This is high frequency trading. This is how it works.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of it, right? Yeah. So I've said earlier. Look at the volume. But no, I like this buy. I think this is a great buy the dip opportunity for a lot of people here. Royal Caribbean
now trying to hold six here. We look at the mag, Nvidia down another 1.7%. So, again, 183.35. If you liked it at 212, you should love it down here. Apple up 64 basis points after yesterday's strong day also, so trying to recover a little bit more here. Microsoft down 1.65. A lot of that having to do Microsoft and Amazon. We do have to bring up both have issues over in Europe again. So this time it's the Digital Asset Act.
10-year now, 4.1 now. So, it's I mean, everybody thinks they're going to, I mean, if you don't think the Fed's going to cut, I mean, they're just screaming and gnashing and wailing. It's just nonsense. I will say this is a very different Fed than we kind of expected.
Well, and that's the other reason for me on Bitcoin is over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, this Fed changes its structure because, he's going to replace more people, right? Than whoever it was just resigned also or announced retirement. So Bitcoin above 92 here. Nice little jump to the upside. And the Treasury buyers are expecting a cut because we do see the 10-year now down almost 89 basis points here at 4.102. So moving off of what we saw as highs. So it does seem like sentiment is moving more and more towards the Fed cutting. I did have Fed Watch up earlier this morning. Here it is. It's now
but if the Fed has to cut, there's still a reason why they got to cut. The economy is not good. You don't cut.
Right, but it's again, for certain things like crypto, it's the debasement trade, right? It's right. Every time that they cut and print money and the money printed goes burr, it's better for Bitcoin and crypto. So for me, that's what I'm concerned about.
I mean, I don't. If that's the case, then money has been going burr since 1924. I mean,
well, it has absolutely. Yeah. And look at this, 92.3. Here's the short squeeze you talked about, Steve. Those folks that were shorting on the bottom here getting hit pretty hard. Bitcoin, nice run to the upside here.
And let's be real honest. Bitcoin's been sitting around 94, 95,000, so it's not really that big of a sell-off, right? I mean, but it feels rough because for those of us who liked it at 126. Now, for those of you who are at 126 and I said sell and I did sell, I'm happy, right? And we've been pretty right on this, right? I mean, I missed a few times, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I may have missed a few times, but the bigger picture things, no, I've got pretty right here. So, I like this here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look and see what the biggest movers are so far this morning in the market. We do have a lot of earnings on tap here. Qubit up another. Oh, no, this is
Tesla slipping a little bit here.
Qubit up a nice little move here today.
Dollar yen at 155.33, man. Whew, I'm ready to go to Japan.
1249 here in Qubit. So third day of strong moves to the upside there. Seeing some of the AI names, TerraWolf, Ondus up 6-7% here this morning. Also seeing a rebound by some of the mining companies. Freeport McMoran up 5.54% here this morning. And oh, that's 4 N's. That's not the company I thought it was.
All right, I'm starting to see TweetDeck popping back up. We are seeing some live coming back up on QM Live.
I just got it back up here. There goes QM. There goes you. Steve, we're having trouble with yours. Is the only one still not going. No, it's Quasar's that's not going.
No, mine's back up now, so I think
Yeah,
we're starting.
I can't get Quasar markets up. Try hit it from your side.
I'm looking at Quasar markets live from our side, and
Steve,
it's
top
not.
right hand side of the screen. Click
Yeah.
on the one with the exclamation. See if it lets you redo it.
And yeah, not
letting you because I started the stream.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on QM Live. I'm seeing it on me now. It's starting. They're all coming up now. I think slowly, but yeah. Yeah, I think we're starting to see a little bit of it coming back up a little bit. So it takes some time, but it's okay. All right.
See here, I'm trying to fix it. It's making me do a couple of steps here. Steve, you might have just got a confirmation code.
I do, yeah.
Private message me that. Sorry, everybody. We're just trying to get connected to all of the different sites here that have been down from Cloudflare. Did you get that email?
The email has not come through yet. But.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. It looks like that one I'm not able to get up so far, Steve. The rest are up. Nice move to the upside here by Bitcoin, still above 92K. So nice little move there. Tick's gone slightly negative. We do see the Qs have been pretty muted either side here, down about 67 basis points on the day, just below 600. And the S&P through the SPY down about 47 basis points. Dow Jones off the lows of the day jumped up about 200 points from the lows and still down about 80 basis points. We do see VIX is still climbing 2390 here, Steve. So we still see the fear gauge moving to the upside. Gold at 40.79. It's moving to its highs of the day. And Steve, your silver's back at 50.78. Will you be looking to sell this time on the move up?
No, probably not. There is some selling though now again. I mean, now that Twitter's back up, everybody's selling again. Crazy people. And that just tells you what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah, it is a little bit crazy here.
You should be okay though, I think on wait. Yeah, it should be back up and running. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, the very second that Twitter goes back up, the markets can fall back down. So
yeah. Tick has gone back positive here, though. Q's down about 80 basis points. SPY down 0.5 percentage point. So it has been moving up. And Dow Jones down about 76 basis points. On the Mag 7, we do see Apple up about 24 basis points, but giving up some of its early morning move. Netflix up about 11 basis points here at 110.43. NVIDIA, man, down another 2.4% here, 182, and moving to the downside. So again, we are seeing a sell-off across Bitcoin here again, back at 91,500 again. Don't think everything's going to move straight up. I do think we're going to see a little bit of rocky road here in front of us today.
That makes me wonder if a lot of this selling is tied to Twitter.
I don't know. That's a good question. That one I'm not sure about. That one I am not sure about.
Are any of these algos tied to Twitter? I mean, I see the selling. I saw, that's a 1,000
Well,
point.
yeah, they would be. I mean, they look for news, so if they're using Grok to do anything, they definitely are, right?
I would definitely not be trading because of Grok. I mean,
people again, those quant traders, those computers take everything into account. So social sentiment,
and we have the same thing, right? But
you do. Yeah, I'm like, look who's talking. You're the biggest user of TweetDeck I know. You have the most complex TweetDeck I've ever seen.
And let's be honest. I mean, TweetDeck has
that's where you find stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Wait a second. What are you talking about there, big guy?
We're seeing a push back up the upside again. I don't know what it's. The next one of those days you just stay at. Let the nonsense play out. I'm not into this today. Royal Caribbean up 2.3. Disney now positive. I've been long. I'm staying long. I'm not scared. I'm only down a point or two. And this, I was like, no big deal, right? I like this. I like this move. I think I made a very smart decision long term for what we're doing. So I'm okay. And getting a lot of this on sale. Yeah, some of my videos are coming back up now. So I think we might be seeing a down detector is starting to show a little bit here to the downside now, a little bit on OpenAI and Cloudflare. Looks like the AWS is already. Twitter is almost all back up now, I think. But it tells you how much Cloudflare is really kind of connected to the world.
Yeah, it does. I will say this 99.55 area really has been key resistance on the Dixie here the last few days, last 3 days or so.
So I was saying, yeah, Steve, you're right. People are confused about what to do in the market. They are confused. They don't know what to do. They want to buy, but they're now scared. Well, why weren't they scared when the news was starting to tell people that, hey, what's going on in the world? Because they didn't want to believe it, right? That was the problem. So here we are sitting down the road a little bit, and now they're trying to catch up, and now they're playing catch up, and catch up usually gets you mustard. So be careful out there.
Yeah. I never heard that one. I like that. Yeah, and I think it's a battle for retail, right? Because they're realizing that the K-shaped economy is maybe not working for even the retail traders.
Not working for them.
Yeah, right. So it's hard to do that. And I do think that we are also seeing there are bargain hunters, people who are saying, "Hey, listen, if it is going down, I'm going to hold off and wait."
Right.
So I do think that's going to be some of
it.
And
I like that. They're making smarter decisions. I do prefer that.
I think volume will start to dictate, and not volume the first 20 minutes of the day, because we know most of that is the quants trading against each other. Let them play it out. But what we'll see later in the day is going to be a better indication of what we've got going on.
Right. Agreed. I will say this much. I'm beginning to like the Apple news. I like the Apple ecosystem a little bit better. I think it's harder to create that ecosystem around you, like all the little things that I have, the different. I want to look like this and this color and this thing here, and make it do this, and that to me.
Yeah, once you get in, you end up with all their stuff. I mean, usually
you don't. Yeah, you can't get out.
You don't dabble into Apple. Although I had a Mac at one time, but I was never a Mac fan. I will say the new updates are really good. Twitter's coming back up again, so we'll see how that works. Look, they're having problems. We know that. So. Okay, let's see what we got here. Tick down slightly here. Advanced decline down about 1,200 to the downside.
Cloudflare
It
now
was.
does say it's NET, by the way, for those of you who don't want paying attention. Cloudflare says the fix has been implemented and they believe the incident is now resolved permanently. So NET is the ticker there. Just
Down about 1.61%, but well off of the lows of the day. Went down all the way to 187.
and that tells you just exactly how much we are reliant on tech.
Oh, yeah. Steve, and I'll tell you what, VIX is continuing to move to the upside here, up 8% today at 24.41 now.
Yeah,
Breaking to the upside. So that's what's squeezing to the upside here is definitely the volatility factor. So, man, we're set up for an explosive evening tomorrow night as NVIDIA goes through its earnings.
I've got my New York snow globe ready to go. As the snow picks up and the weather picks up there in New York, I will keep my eye on the New York stuff because I think weather is going to play a very massive part coming up here soon. So,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of estimates that if you are above, the line that basically Route 80 does across the country, you are looking at some record snowfall predictions for the winter.
that means I might not be coming north for the next 3 years. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see you in July. Yeah, I am just below that. I'm not just, it's basically from the lake region. So Cleveland, Toledo above me, Chicago, they gave huge numbers, said Colorado could see record 100 foot. They're saying 100 feet in parts of the West is some of the predictions I saw. It's crazy. So. Steve, would you look at UNG based on that?
I have been. I mean, for those of you who know, I've been saying that there's going to be a massive squeeze in natural gas. It's not, but I think
a lot 1388 right now.
Natural gas issues is based around. We're still seeing some more selling here now in the markets. They're trying to. I mean, this is Johnny come lately to the markets now, right? So if you're still selling now, you're probably just. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught your pants down. It's going to suck. And I feel bad for them. I don't really feel, not really. Actually, I'll take it back. I don't really feel bad for them anymore. They've had their run. So congrats.
Yeah. Don't feel bad for the Bears. They've done pretty well here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do see gold at 40.66. So coming off of highs of the day, same thing. Bitcoin had made a run up to 92,335 before pulling back here under some pressure. And that's going to be a lot of the perps taken back over the market, so to speak, and how the market structure moves. We do see, some things in the positive here so far. Banks, financials in general, JP Morgan down 0.5 percentage point. Same thing with Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, all getting hit here this morning. We got a few that are moving to the upside. USB on news, they might move to the United States up about 60 basis points here. So we'll see if that news plays out. Chip sector is all in the red today. Yeah. We see AMD down almost 5% here. Micron, where you hiding, was down about 4.14.
Bitcoin. I think we're setting up for a bit of run here.
NVIDIA down about 3%. So we do see that. MicroStrategy, as you mentioned on the news of Michael Saylor's huge purchase of about a little over 8,000 Bitcoin at $800 and something million, up about 3% here today. So finally starting to show some love there.
Epstein files discharge petition. I don't really know.
Steve, NVIDIA now down below 3%. It's getting close for me to add it to my long-term position here.
Let's let it go down. I'm gonna let it go down a little bit farther. Remember, there's not the big money. Peter Thiel's not there yet, so
yeah, I might want to dabble a little bit though before.
Yeah, I like that. Look at this. Look at this run here on Bitcoin. We might be setting up here. Yeah, I got Bitcoin now on CNBC. They're watching it like a hawk now.
Oh, they love to call the demise and death of it. We know that they love it. Well, I mean, listen, it's newsworthy either way. I can't say it's not. It's down
It is
25% from its highs, and
Yeah.
if it really is a canary in the coal mine, showing that liquidity is drying up, hopefully the Fed's listening, right?
The ivory towers, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I wish they were, but they're not. Yeah, so Alibaba is now rolling out a new chatbot called Quinn.
Alibaba, yeah, it's got Baba up today, even after the White House is concerned that Alibaba leaked emails that China told them not to use U.S. NVIDIA chips and stuff, and so there's a little bit of controversy there for sure. Tick down about 300 still. We do see Q's down about 1.32%. So people are definitely selling there, down at 595. So from highs at 602 down all the way to 595 here today, continuing to fall to the downside. SPY is down at lows of the day, down almost a full percentage point. The same thing. Dow Jones is down about 1.1% as the selling continues here. VIX continuing to move to the upside here, trying to break above 25. So fear is in the streets, folks.
Yeah, and
holding up pretty well here. The small caps are holding up better than everything else, only down 42 basis points.
Yeah, Apple's down 60 cents, 70 cents. Like it's not really now. AMD being down 5.2%. They're catching back up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with NVIDIA. I mean, they're well below their 50-day MA here. You start to look at some of these chip companies like you're talking about. This.
I mean, AMD on a daily chart has a massive gap, so we need to be very careful there.
Oh yeah, gap all the way down to 171.
So that's what I would be watching for.
Keep an eye on LRCX Lam Research here at the 50-day MA is interesting.
I like Lam Research.
Linear regression. They made the big move up on their earnings. They've retraced to about the level they were pre-earnings. I think that's a fairly good level. So that's one I'm going to keep an eye on for sure here. LRCX, folks, Lam Research.
We are setting up for a run here now in Bitcoin. The 10-second chart's really showing some serious.
MSTR 202.91 leading the charge here, up 3.7% here. So nice move to the upside for Mr. Saylor and his run there. Bitcoin struggling here at that 91 450 area to get above it. Seeing a little bit of better reaction out of some of the alts so far today. If we look at the different sectors, utilities are slightly up, materials slightly up, and consumer staples slightly up. We see the biggest fall in the consumer discretionary area. So most of these stocks that have had earnings from Home Depot to Klarna to Panera are all moving to the downside today. And tech's down 1.78. A lot of that across the Mag 7 in the chip sector, where we see the Mag 7 now, man, NVIDIA 180, Microsoft down 2.65%, well below. It looks like that one wants to try to, really work its way back down. Google down about 1.4%. So if you think Mr. Buffett was right yesterday, you should be liking it here at this point. Amazon down 3%. Again, a lot of that based upon their outsized bond issuance, raising money for their data centers, along with some regulatory scrutiny out of Europe.
So Cloudflare affected Coinbase, Kraken, Etherscan, Aave, and Defilima. I mean, that's
DeFi
So
llama.
this selling is based on Coinbase. This is all retail selling in Bitcoin here. This is not institutional selling then, if that's the case. Because the minute that they turn back on, then the selling started up again. That is very interesting to me. So usually dumb money is usually wrong.
Usually it doesn't have to be.
Okay,
We'll see.
I
I
have a meeting at 10 o'clock. I need to run, but
okay, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry, it was a little bit of abbreviated trying to get our stuff fixed here with Twitter's being down, and Cloudflare. From Quasar Markets, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early.